Let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors. Okay, so I was excited for this season because the Golden State Warriors are one of my favorite teams. Obviously, they're my basketball team. That's the team that I like. And they won by a final score of, where's my banner? 124 to 106. Now, this is a game in which they did not have Steph Curry. They did not have Andrew Wiggins, and they did not have DeAnthony Melton. So already you're down 3 out of your 12-man rotation. And I'm like, man, that's going to be tough, especially without Steph Curry. I mean, he's their superstar. But guess what? The Warriors had a tough first half. They were getting killed in the first half, in the first quarter especially. Let me pull up that number there. In the first quarter, they were down 31 to 14. Second quarter, they came back 33 to 20. They won the second quarter, and they went on to win the third and the fourth quarter. Third quarter, they came out and outscored the Pelicans 40 to 28, and they never let it go at all. Looking at the starting lineups, Draymond Green, 7 assists. He's always good for that. Moses Moody got the start because of the injured Andrew Wiggins. He had 17 points. Let me pull this right here. He had 17 points. Trace Jackson Davis. I freaking love this guy. He only had 3 points, but he had 5 assists, a block, and 2 rebounds. Brandon Pajemski. This guy was scoring. He was hitting threes. He was hitting in the paint. Jump shots. He was everywhere. He had 19 points, had 5 assists, and 3 rebounds, too, because he's a good rebounding guard. Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield got the start over Jonathan Kuminga, and they announced yesterday that Kuminga is not going to be the starter moving forward, that Buddy Hield will now be the starter. Now, this could change as time goes on, but I think this is a good move because they saw how hot Buddy Hield was coming off the bench. Now, the funny thing about this is he got off to a very slow start. In the second half, he didn't even start. They had Lindy Waters, the third, starting. Lindy Waters had 21 points. A guy who, I guess, instead of a 12-man rotation, you got to make it a 13-man rotation because this guy was balling. He had 8 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. He had 21 points. A guy who's barely seen the court all year. Buddy Hield, coming off the bench in the second half, he ended the game with 28 points on 28 minutes. Very efficient. Also had 2 steals as well. Look at this. Draymond, 1 steal. Pajemski, 1 steal. Hield, 2 steals. Lindy Waters, a steal. Kuminga, 2 steals. Looney, 2 steals. Kyle Anderson, 5 steals. Reese Beekman? I don't even know who that is. He even had a steal. The Warriors defensively are playing out of their minds right now, and it's keeping them in the game, and it's making them competitive, which I absolutely love. I love seeing that. Now, what about Jonathan Kuminga? He didn't start. Maybe you're questioning, is this the guy they want to invest all this money into? Well, he ended the game with 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, and 17 points. So he had a really good game. Not as good as Lindy Waters, but still, he had a good game. Kevon Looney had 9 rebounds. And Gary Payton II, he had 7 points as well. So the Warriors overall had a really good game. And they beat a team in which they were scheduled to lose that game, to be honest with you. Because they were like, oh, well, they don't have Wiggins. They don't have Curry. They should lose. But no, they won. And they won by a final score of 124 to 106. They really, really took it to them. And they beat the crap out of them in the second half. And I love seeing it. They play again today at 7 o'clock at home against the Pelicans in a back-to-back, which is crazy if you ask me. But so we'll see how they play in the second matchup, which is later today over on NBC Sports Bay Area. But the Warriors, so here's the thing that excites me about the Warriors. They're 3-1 on the year. This is a team that most people said, they can't really compete with the good teams. Well, they've been able to compete, and not only compete, but dominate in this first part of the season. Their opening game against Portland, they won 140 to 104. That was the biggest win by point margin in Warriors history on opening night. Then they played Portland, where they got to see good old Lauri Markkanen, who they almost traded for. They smoked the Jazz 127-86. Now, they lost to the Clippers 112-104. That was a game where Steph Curry injured his ankle and had to leave the game. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, I mean, they kept it close. But the Warriors are off to a great start. Now, we know Steph Curry is not going to play. He didn't play last night, not going to play tonight. But he'll be back after that, most likely. They say he's going to miss a couple of games. But after New Orleans, we got the Houston Rockets, the Washington Wizards, and then the Boston Celtics. So, if anything, if they're going to hold him out for as long as they can, he'll come back against Boston. But I think he comes back against Houston. And I see them beating Houston and Washington. And moving to 5-1. This is a very competitive team. It's a very deep team as well. There's a lot of things the Warriors are doing this year that I've been very, very excited about. And not to mention, their roster is just super deep and filled with experienced players and filled with players that have been around one another for multiple years. Yeah, so last night's starting five is not their normal starting five. Obviously, they're down 2 players from the starting five. But you're talking about Draymond, Moody, Jackson Davis, Podziemski. They've all played with each other for 4 to 2 years. This is their second year with Podziemski and with Jackson Davis. Yeah, guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Kevon Looney, Kyle Anderson, who can bring the ball up the court and has a really high basketball IQ. Gary Payton II. It's a lot of guys. DeAnthony Melton, when he's out right now, but when he's in, he's a tenacious defender, and he's been shooting the ball really well. Wiggins is playing really good defense and scoring at a high rate. And, of course, Steph Curry. I mean, come on. But they're the only team in the NBA that has a 12-man rotation. And that's huge. Think about trying to play a team that's 12 players deep. I mean, everyone's fresh because you're constantly rotating through players. Now, obviously, injury is going to limit that. But I absolutely love what I'm seeing from the Golden State Warriors. And they look like the old Warriors. They look like the Warriors when it was Steph and Clay and Draymond, when they're running up and down the court, fast break style. A lot of energy, a lot of speed, and that's what I like to see from the Warriors. That's the best part, is they're playing like the old Warriors, and they're playing tenacious defense. When you look at their roster, and you look at the type of defenders that they have on the roster, especially when they're healthy. You got Draymond, great defender. Moody, a good defender. Jackson Davis, a good defender. Podziemski, a good defender. Kuminga, a good defender. Gary Payton II. DeAnthony Melton. Andrew Wiggins. A lot of defensive players that can both play hard-nosed defense and also score on the other end. So this is a deep team, and I think a lot of teams are going to have a problem playing the Warriors, especially when they get Steph Curry back, which will be very, very soon. So I'm excited to see what the Warriors do this season, because the Warriors, everyone's counting them out. But I'm telling you right now, this team, as long as they can stay healthy, they're going to be one of the top teams in the league because of their depth. They're just going to be too much for a lot of teams to handle. So I'm excited to see what the Warriors do. But like I said, the Warriors beat the Pelicans 124-106 and moved to 3-1 on the season.